the farm originally came from her father, Jake Van Auerkirk. When my mother's mother died when my mother was very young. And then he remarried. He married the sister, and that did not work out, so they got a divorce. And in the divorce, she made sure that each child got a part of this property. And then Mother and Daddy bought them out. So then that's how that became the family home. On the farm that Dad was born on, Dad was 10, and they took the cows, to the county fair, and his father had good horses, good teams. And there was a stone boat contest, where you put stones on a boat, and then you get the horses up to see who can move it. And all these men, that it was still, no one could move it. So Dad, 10 years old, gets out his father's prize horses and puts it on an angle, and it moves. So he wins $10. I mean, that was a fortune. So his father comes and he's so pleased to have $10, and his father really gave him a spanking because he could have ruined the horses. The stone boat was that heavy, and if you didn't know about weight and balance and teams and muscles, you could have ruined a team of horses. But I remember Dad saying that at Christmas time, there were 9 children in his family, and they'd go in a sleigh to Sheboygan, the parents, and they'd come back with long underwear and a case of oranges and maybe grapefruit, which were just spectacular, under the horse blankets. And Dad always went to Charlie's Market. You probably remember that?
Oh, yeah.
It just smelled so Florida, Havana. Never been to Havana, but it just had that, it was a different world. Being in her company, you did dare not fail. It was busy. She was Dutch, she was lovely, she had stories, but she had a plan. And if you want to talk with her, you had to run with her. She'd dart, whether either the flowers are blooming, the apples are ripe, or she had some animal eating up her vegetables in the garden. And Dad would come, I remember helping washing bottles and going on the milk route, and everybody worked, but it was fun. And then we'd go put our lovely clothes on and look like we'd been sleeping all day. That was not true.
Yeah.
God, that bread, I'd be sleeping upstairs in my brother's room, and she'd get up at 4 or 5, and she'd take that bread and slam it. Some baker told her, if you want good bread, you gotta really slam it. Well, you'd go 4 feet off the bed. This is now 5 o'clock in the morning. And you go, oh, what happened? Someone got shot. Oh, Mother's making bread, it's okay, She'd tell you how, what, when, and where, and she was never quiet. She was just all in constant motion and busy. If she wasn't sitting down, she would knit and talk to you, and she could tell if she made a mistake. If we went to a movie, she'd be knitting and she'd count back and fix it, and she just was busy. Because it was a beautiful operation, a small operation, but with the pasteurizing and the milk and the delivery and the cows and inspectors, and it was a clean barn, man. It was really. Put lime down on the barn every day. The men would clean it. How the grains were coming, how the corn was growing, who was, the rabbits were out or the cows were out. Or there was always something going on. It was busy. Well, to the right, you had the milk house. You had the silos and the milk house. And then you had the stanchions. And then you had where the younger calves were and the bulls were stored in pens. And then you had horse stalls behind that. And then a lot of the breeding took part in the last part.
Oh.
Way back there. But there was always circulating and lots of activity. and Daddy always had good bulls. So on the left-hand side, it was like a repeat of, you had the silo on the left-hand side, and then you had the big molasses barrel that Daddy, the cows had the molasses, and then you had the stanchions, and then again the pens in the back. They'd have the regular beautiful feed, and then the grains, and then he put silage. It's like a 5-course meal. And then on top, before the cows would not do a thing. They just look. And then they'd hear that splash of the water can, sprinkling can. And it was like eyes right or eyes left. I mean, all of those cows, 20 in a line, And then, oh gosh, you had to stand way back and feed them like that because they would, they're big. Those cows, that's a big head. And I was small. And so when the cows had to get capsules, they get those horse capsules, the men would open up the cow mouth, and I had to put the pill down beyond the gullet or beyond, so they wouldn't throw it up. That's you think the lion and the roar, looking down that, do you really, you want me to do this? I need to say that barn was built in 1952, and that's the that's the year I graduated from high school. And then the day after I graduated, I flew to Paris because Rosemary, my sister, was living there. And while I was there, I was visiting someone else in Switzerland, and I had a dream of that night that the barn had burned, and it was such a vivid dream. And I remember coming down for breakfast, and Madame Pfister said, "What's the matter?" I said, "I dreamt last night the barn burned down." And didn't hear anything from anyone until about 6 weeks later. I'm back in Paris. We're going down the Champs-Élysées. Saw a Marty Dukovich. I don't know if you remember that name, but he was a painter. And we said, "Hey, how you doing?" He said, "Fine." He said, "I'm sorry I didn't drop by to see your parents." So then we found out that the major barn that I had most of my experiences in had burned. It was a huge July fire, and all that burned, and it smoldered for, I guess, a very long time. The good thing is that it happened in July, if there's a good thing to this. And most of the cows were out, except for the young ones and the bulls, and the horses were there. But the main herd was out, and the young heifers, Dad would rent land someplace, and they were not there. So the herd was saved. Caught in the fire, he had to shoot the horses he had. Wonderful match team, because they couldn't get out. And Dad went in there, and Mother was terrified because she saw him go into the flame and was praying to God that he'd come out, which he did. Came out. But I would say you have to love the land. I mean, he was a gracious man, a hard worker, but he had the touch, He had the caring. It was just natural. He was like a natural nature man. I mean, not everything was appreciated, with the tree, or now don't hurt that tree, or that cow. Oh, she needs to be put some more fresh straw. You just never saw a dirty barn or a dirty tail on a cow. The gardens had to be up, the lawns had to be mowed, the fruit had to be canned. I mean, there was like a system. There was always something that needed to be done. And if you're going to do it right or do it again. Oh, she wouldn't put up with anything other than keeping going. I mean, if I wasn't feeling well, that you go to bed early, but you get up in the morning. There was always the garden. You lived off the land, so you took good care of the land. Dad always was fertilizing it naturally and spacing out the crops, and just he'd say, let's go for a walk, Sarah, and see what God has put together here. I mean, he's a man, just of nature, just real sweet. Yeah, how the grains were coming, how the corn was growing, who was, the rabbits were out or the cows were out, or there was always something going on. I mean, it was busy. I'd help them deliver milk, and I'd hide. I always had the cases set so that I could go and hide, because sometimes the boys would come on and, "Where's Sierra?" And I'd go, "I'm not here," and try to hide behind the cases. So I'd be looking, or Dad would say, "Now don't take a long time, we've got to hurry." So he would wait, and I'd run up with the milk and change it all out, and then I'd hear, "No milk today," or, "Can your father come in and change the mattress," or, "We need to move a table, could you come help?" So I've got one story that, Daddy and I we're separating the milk, right, for cream. But the skim milk was going down the drain. Yeah. And I said, "But Dad, doesn't somebody want to buy skim?" He said, "Nobody would buy that." Times have changed. But that's very true. It would just be this light chalk-colored liquid going down a drain.
How about that?
And that, he said, "I don't even know if I'd give that to pigs." We never had pigs because they smelled and we were close to the town.
Yeah.
But it was usually, bacon and eggs and fresh bread and fresh jams. It was all fresh. Fresh butter. We'd make butter. We made ice cream. Breakfast could be very casual, could be very formal, or it could be a standing rib roast. When my husband first came, it was Sunday morning, we had a standing rib roast. He said, "This is crazy." And I had an Aunt Sarah that she lived in the hill in Sheboygan Falls, near Schlichting's house, and we'd make candy, with cherries in it. And then she had a pantry, and it was a process. You made your stuff. You made all these things. And she had peonies. I am nutsy cuckoo for peonies, and Mother did. And Mother got a lot of her flowers from Aunt Sarah. And she always Mother would say, you could tell who your friends are by the flowers because you'd have the garden club. I call it the Mink and Manure Club, The girls would exchange flowers. But it was good food, good company, and well meant. How are you, But good parties. I mean, it wasn't usually a terrible casual party. I mean, people came, and they didn't bring anything. We all cooked it. And then they all left and went to do the dishes. Every Saturday I had to polish silver. It was, why? Well, then plastic came out. Plastic. Paper plates. Are you serious? I mean, it wasn't just a raspberry bush. We would have a row of raspberries and lots of corn, and it was just food. Everything was normal and natural. It did not... Dad would go through the seeds. He said, "That's not any good. That's not any good." And you'd go through the granary at the other place. But everything that was very seasonal. When winter came, we were tucked in. And then always, if a snowstorm came, we had to shovel out to get up to the barn, to the shed. That's where the first barn was. And dig out and get the grader. Or go up and, cows had to be fed and still had to be milked. And that was a challenge. Freezing food she thought that was a real miracle. I mean, that it could stay and she could prepare and take it out. But it was a while before she got a freezer. But then she started, the abundance was so much. It was always the garden. You lived off the land, so you took good care of the land. Dad always was fertilizing it naturally and spacing out the crops, and just he'd say, let's go for a walk, Sarah, and see what God has put together here. People were always welcomed, or they need another quart of milk, so they'd come because we had a big, the cooler downstairs. And it wasn't a big operation. I remember, people would pay, and the dining room was filled with coins, because and then Dad would take it to the bank after they rolled them up. They fed a lot of people. We fed a lot of people. or Mother would always say, have you eaten? So you had the apple orchard, you had pears and plums, and a big garden. Even when she was 90, I'd be sitting with her, or I'd be trying to sleep, and she'd come and I'd hear something outside, and she said, what are you doing outside, Mother? She said, I'm just hoeing the garden. It feels so good, and I mean, she'd whack that, take that hoe, and just, you think she could ride it, you know? But there was always something blooming, and Mother, it was always fresh. It didn't occur when I saw frozen food. After I was married, I remember you could get a frozen dinner, and I got one just to look at, something that's frozen. Like, it was like foreign language, you know? I was trying to learn Italian in a philosophy class, so it was like, Terry and I grew up together. I knew Terry's mother, Celeste. Celeste and Mother were very good friends. So I'm 1 month older than Terry. So we would play together and got to know each other quite well. I had a barn dance. This is the old barn. And Daddy had hail bales all over. We had a polka band. And I remember Pete Shields and Terry were hiding behind bales. You know, I mean, so typical boys, you know. And Terry was had turned off lights, and Dad would just say, Terry, turn them back on. And Terry said, how do you know? He said, I know. Like I said, I'd come home from school and see all the priest collars on the dining room table, and you knew they were having a good time. They were playing cards and a lot of good booze, and they used to say, when Al Miley goes home, we go home. The boys would break the horses in the snowdrifts all winter. So when it came time to sell the horses, they were all broken and well-mannered, but these boys would ride them, and they were safe. I mean, I always loved that. So one day Dad came home, he said, there's a chicken in the chicken coop going. He said, you been out there, Sarah? And I said, yeah. She really got me, so I threw her across the chicken coop. So we had chicken and dumplings that night. I made this land go, you know, for goodness, you know, and be held in that. And I said, everybody's got to win. And when it comes to that. And so when you all came along, I was thrilled, because that was my dream from '92 when I came on board and had to handle a lot of things that I didn't know that much about. People wanting to encroach. It was a testament of living here and hanging to a simple truth that made the land go the way it needs to go, but may an option be that it be a benefit to the people, because that's, I would say, the core of everything that went on. A goodness, the sweetness of life, you know, the goodness of people and life and the land. I'm very happy that it worked out.